event today. Foundry sessions number 2. We had the first one last week. It was with Maurice. It was on building a brand, building content, and this week we have another one with with sorry, with Paul and Chrissy from Flojo. We have the community flywheel. Super excited. I'd love to hop right into it. I know you guys have a little bit of a presentation. Maybe we start with a quick introduction, but honestly, I think I'm just gonna kind of pass it off to you guys.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you so much for joining today's Foundry session on the Community Flywheel, where we'll be sharing use cases and also how this is a key strategy and ethos for Flojo. So we have two of our co-founders here today, myself and also Paul. Paul, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, yeah, great to be here. Obviously, great to be part of Monkey DAO, Foundry as well. Yeah, just so very quickly, most of my career I've been a TradFi guy. I work at Merrill Lynch in FX trading, about close to 1.5 decades, and then became very philosophically aligned with alternative value systems and the promise of blockchain and cryptocurrency in decentralization of value. So then, I joined a startup that I invested in, which actually almost got acquired by by Coinbase, called ZipMax, and it blew up in the deleveraging crisis in 2022. So ever since then, I decided to combine kind of like all the inspirations, the talents, and the experience that I had to create Flojo with Christine and Sherry. So yeah, in a nutshell, very aligned with crypto and its ethos.
And I'm Christy, one of the co-founders. I'm the Chief Research and Product Officer at Flojo, and I'm also the head neuroscientist of Flojo. So I have a background that spans kinesiology and health sciences, and I've also worked and taught in molecular and functional neurobiology for over a decade. So from there, I worked in AI, machine learning, biotech startup, where I led the R&D operations there, also technical product management and delivery. And I was also in charge of hiring and building our team. So I helped grow our team and the company by 400% while I was there. And that's when I decided I'm going to move into the life of being an entrepreneur, where I recently started two health and wellness consumer product brands, and that includes Flojo, which is the star of what I'm working on now. So with that, I'm going to jump right into our slides. So we have some slides. I'm going to pass the baton to Paul at some point, and then at the end, we're going to run through. We actually have a special airdrop for our monkeys, so we're going to run through how that is all going to work as well. So I apologize. Once I start the slides, I can't really see the chat anymore, so I will check the chats after. Okay, so let me know if it works. I probably need someone to tell me if it works or not because I can't see, but I will share. Oh, I don't think I'm sharing the right screen. 1 second. Okay. Am I sharing the screen? Yes.
Yes, it looks great.
And then this is good? Everyone can see it?
Oh, oh, we lost it.
Oh, you lost it? Oh no. Okay, hold on. Interesting. I'm trying to present. If I can't present, I might just present it this way, if that's okay.
That
Hold
works
on a
too.
second. Let's see. Let me try one more time. Apologies and thank you. No.
It's loading right now.
It's loading. Oh, wrong one. Share? No. Wrong one.
Do you want me to try? I can try on my end.
um, let's see. Share this window. Okay. And I think if I click play, can you see the correct? Oh, you don't see the right window,
No,
right?
we see Discord.
Shoot, sorry. Apologies. 1 second. I had it working a second ago. No?
It's
Yes?
loading. Yeah,
Oh,
now
there we go.
It is? Okay. So, can I try? I'm gonna try clicking play, and hopefully it works. Let's try. If not, I might need Paul. Works? No? Continue to share?
uh,
We lost it.
Lost it! Okay. Paul, do you want to try, or should I just share it as...
if you go back to maybe just don't click play and just like run through the slides.
Okay.
Not the best tech
Cool.
before.
Yeah. Give me just 1 second as I set that up for us. Apologies here. Okay. Sharing?
Yeah, it's loading. Yeah, just don't click play and then just like scroll down maybe.
Okay, sounds good. We're good to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, wonderful. So yeah, again, super excited for our partnership and collaboration between Monkey DAO, Monkey Foundry, and Flojo. We're going to be going right into the community flywheel. So for those of you, is it still showing? Please tell me it's still showing.
It is, it is.
Okay, wonderful. So those of you that don't quite know about Flojo, I'm going to give you just a quick rundown of who we are. So at Flojo, we made this amazing drink to fill the gap between wellness drinks and energy drinks. So most energy drinks, when you think about it, they're all about high octane, brute force, the crazy caffeine highs, they're loaded with sugar and artificial taste. And you generally will feel quite wired and then you'll crash. So Flojo is quite different. We're all natural, we're yerba mate based, and we have functional mushrooms as well. So you can think about our energy as something that's less jittery, and it's more about having that clarity and focus. So you can think of us as fuel for your inspiration. So especially for those breakthrough aha moments where everything starts to become clear, and you really are looking for that spark, before that big idea to come, that's exactly why we built Flojo. So you might be wondering, what does an energy drink, everyone asks us this, have to do with crypto? So that's where it gets quite interesting. And Flojo isn't just a product, it's actually community is a huge part of what Flojo is all about. It's community, culture, and the flywheel that crypto makes possible. So we'll get into that in just a bit. So why did we even choose a drink? Especially here where we have tons of protocols and projects, lots of DAOs. They're quite invisible to the outside world, so mainstream, Web2, normie world. But how about for consumer brands? You can actually see them on the shelves, you can feel them, you can hold them. They're in real life. And that's why we chose to build the drink, because it's a great way to build and bridge between Web3 and the real world. So, drinks, they're physical, it's social, which is very important for community. It has an emotional element to it as well. You can travel with it, it spreads. So it's all, if it's great, which Flojo is, it gets talked about and it gets shared over and over again. So this is a really great way where you can turn abstract communities, so online communities, into something that's tangible, in something that you can hold and sip and represent and share. So we do have an amazing on-chain reward loyalty program. But what if the opportunity is not just in the reward program, but it's actually the community itself? And that's where we're going to jump right into what it means to build a community-wide flywheel. So I'll pass the torch to Paul to take it on.
Hey, yeah, so thanks, Christine. Um, so the old model, very much transactional loyalty. You know, I think as we get into um, the more and more, get deeper into the social media era, it starts to feel more and more extractive. Essentially, you have KOLs, if you will, celebrities, athletes, monetizing the attention, right? So generally speaking, um, you become the vessel of attention, and you become the consumer, and you generate P&L for these entities. But generally speaking, outside of the enjoyment of the product, which actually very often a lot of these products are not even that great, right? If you think about the last 5 years, we had Mr. Beast's Feastables, you've had Logan Paul's Prime. If you just look at the product on its own, they're not really anything. They're just chocolates and a really sugary energy drink. So, we think that is not the way, good products should be made. So yeah, the old Flywheel, you have essentially a very transactional flow, right? We believe that one of the things that crypto has been really good at doing, and what Bitcoin has pioneered, um, is really this social economic system where everyone can belong, everyone can help build, everyone can have a stake in, and everyone can amplify. Um, so next slide. Yeah, so some examples of essentially projects that have basically quite effectively um, created this social economic community flywheel. A good one is really Pudgy Penguins, right? Like, I'm sure all of Luca bought Pudgy Penguins franchise for 2.5 million in the bear market, and he's openly said in the podcast that very soon after, all the royalties created, and he was essentially in a very painful building out of the business, and he was clearly very focused on building the real world revenue piece, which is really our ethos as well. Like, we really want to build product market fit. We want to build something that has genuine pathways to revenue. And we don't just think a drink is the way. We think what we've built is actually truly different, and it's something that can stand on its own and can genuinely disrupt what there is in the world today, which is primarily your Monster, your Red Bull, and your Celsius. These three combined owns maybe 80 to 90% of the entire 170 billion market share of energy drinks. And Pudgy has, if you guys remember, they did a huge airdrop to everyone that transacted on the Ethereum a chain. And that's really rewarding their community, their core community, right? And when they first launched the toys through a pre-sale model, they sold 500,000 of toys, and eventually when they got onto Walmart, they were, outselling Pokemon and a lot of things, as well as on Amazon. And Luca has actually openly, said what the strategy, like how they achieved this, right? They essentially, told the community, look, we're building a brand here. We have an IP. We have brand equity. You guys have a stake because you own Pudgy NFTs, right? And eventually, what they want to do is they want to monetize, and they want to try and pay back multiples of whoever has kind of supported purchase Pudgy products, and spread this flywheel. Um, so besides that pre-sale, they've also kind of convinced or encouraged their community to go and buy all these toys in the Walmart stores, because from the lens of the traditional distributor, all they care about is, if I distribute your product, does it actually move, right? So this community helped to empower that flow, and then once it moves, then the distribution channels may be like, okay, this actually has demand, let's put it in more places, and then it drives that hype and demand flywheel. Another example on the next slide is newer rec drinks, also on Ethereum. It's a cultural phenomenon. Everybody says rec in the space, right? So I think good art, good meme, and I think OSF came out and decided, look, we we can create the same flywheel that Pudgy has done. So we actually started earlier than rec. We have very similar ethos, even though we have a vision that is a bit more real world and abstracted for the normal consumer. But Rec has kind of successfully engineered a hype. So they started late 2024, and they've done maybe about 7 to 8 drops, right? And obviously the rewards taper in terms of the multiples that they have been able to make people who supported them early. And while it doesn't really feel like a drinks brand because it's not something you can just go to the store to buy, they've managed to make revenue, and they've managed to gain some attention, which is pretty important in the CPG world. And they're taking those things plus kind of the growth of the token market cap to then bootstrap this growth in the real world. And on the next slide is essentially us. We have the same ethos, right? Like we think that community in crypto is, there's a lot of people who care about crypto. And for our team, we fundamentally think that the accessibility of value is something that is kind of lost in crypto. Since the last cycle, we've seen so many coins, what people call it VC coins, low market V, or even if it was through an ICO pathway, either the product doesn't have product market fit, or if it does generate revenue, they don't channel it to the token. So how we see it is that we wanted to build something that will genuinely sell, right? And what's even more interesting is that in the US, especially because there's been a proliferation of functional beverages, as the world moves towards better for you, the physical stores actually cannot take on so many brands. So a lot of brands start off as a direct consumer model. And as you create healthy drinks, people do want to consume them regularly. So they do like buy directly or subscribe. And when you do that, a brand has way more margin, right? So on one spectrum, you have Hyperliquid, which makes, I would say, $1 billion a year, and they burn $970 million of token, and the whole thing does not have any equity. It's right. So clearly, the token is as close to equity as it can be. Our opinion is that obviously, we different business models cannot be a one size fit all model, right? But for beverages specifically, for Flojo in particular, we have a 90% gross margin when we face an end consumer, more or less, right? Versus a 50 to 60 odd gross margin when we go through the channels, a distributor and a Costco, Walmart, or in Singapore or Hong Kong, NTUC and Welcome. So what if we could take away those inefficiencies, and then once we do scale, have a similar 30% type of burn to what Binance Coin used to do, right? And a lot of these beverage brands in the US, like Olipop, Poppy, Liquid Death, they're doing $500 to $600 million of revenue a year. That's some serious revenue. And these companies are all in the $2 to $3 billion market cap, whereas Red Bull and Monster together is 150, right? So there's actually a really big market to vie for. The pie is huge, and these guys are so they're prehistoric. The product has never changed. They just keep now they're trying to add more flavors, but the core product is still Red Bull's case, synthetic caffeine, Monsters, guarana, and caffeine. And on the next slide, we yeah, so what we really stand for and like why we have this community like-minded partnership with and why we chose to build in Solana, why we chose to align with Monkey, and like we also intend to do a social engagement program for some of the cultural communities and so on, is because we think Solana has really good culture. Like it's probably the most consumer-facing chain. There's a phone. Breakpoints are amazing. I mean, personally, I love Monkey DAO. I think Monkey DAO has really good vibes, very good events. I'm sure all of you have the same view. And I have to say, I really love the merch that Monkey DAO makes. I always say this, but I mean it. And I'm pretty particular about like clothes and like gear. And just kind of like been building in Solana for about 8 to 9 months, and we're just like, you know what, like, why don't we try to create this flywheel within Solana, right? Besides Monkey, Klano is also a pretty award-winning, is great. Bonk is obviously doing a lot of things as well. So what we really stand for is to reward early adopters, right, and give people skin in the game. Um, and so just to kind of like put more detail into this, right? Because people tend to think, okay, this is all fluff. Like, what exactly do you mean? So what the plans that we essentially have is, when we eventually finish with the social engagement platform, we intend to launch a flash pre, which doubles as the token pre-sale slash drinks pre-sale. And besides, crypto communities, we're also interestingly activating a lot of the student communities in the US and Canada and Singapore, because we have been able to connect with all the blockchain presidents and the associated communities around tech, AI, and blockchain, but usually through the blockchain communities. They are blockchain native, they're interested in blockchain technology, they're interested to look at opportunities. And for the first time, we think these communities, these add-on communities are really powerful because firstly, students are native consumers of energy drinks. It's not something that we are forcing down their throat. We're actually offering them, right? And they get to the traditional model. Red Bull student ambassador is a $12 an hour program, 12 hours a week, and you basically have to be pretty good looking in general to be part of that program. So that's tough, like, and so it's just not very inclusive overall, right? But we think that people who are aligned with this entire ethos, right, we can get them on board the pre-sale. Everybody that participates in the pre-sale basically will get shipped the product, right? And when we do launch the token, because we have a completely no VC model with any VC, we have raised a tiny amount, mostly bootstrap, and the amounts we've raised are mostly from our friends in the space. And we intend to then launch the token at a very similar FDV to what our angels have come in for. So very, very flat, like basically not much mark-to-market P&L for everybody, and do not vest anybody. And we intend to airdrop back the amount that people spend on their drinks, right, in the token. And then from there, we intend to build the reflexivity. And now the difference is that all these people who have joined in the pre have the token and the drinks, right? So everyone can be now either enjoying the drinks or on a mission to tell people about the drinks. Next. So this point number 2 is similar to what I explained earlier. We want to encourage direct to consumer purchase, especially at the beginning of a company like us, to bootstrap the growth and flywheel. And obviously, the reward profile will have to decay at some point if the company becomes starts to make significant revenue. And like it has to be that way because early adopters should get rewarded more, right? So we do have this model where if you purchase directly from our site, and what differentiates us from Rack is that Rack is a drop by drop business. They don't really have an operational brand onshore. come October, we will be operational in the US, in Canada, in Singapore, and Hong Kong. In that, if you want to buy our product, we will be able to ship it to you in 3 days. And if you purchase it directly from us, we will reward you the points. So that is the on-chain loyalty. And some of you may have noticed we have this abstracted experience, which allows normies to come in and just punch in their email and we'll, right? The reason for that is because we want to create a very fuss-free experience for everyone, right? Not everyone loves crypto. Unfortunately, they should, but they don't. Not everyone does. We want to make it simple. Just come on and we onboard you onto Web3, and that very same wallet can be to accrue the rewards. And next we have so attention is extremely valuable, and we think that the traditional mediums, TikTok, Instagram, is heavily inundated, and basically CAC is horrible. It's extremely expensive to cut through the clutter, and very often celebrities win the game, or unless impossible to gain a foothold. And we've actually taken some inspiration from one of the most successful brands in the healthy soda space. This brand is called Olipop. They've used an interesting Web2 model where they reward the long tail of content creators, essentially creators who are not famous. And they create these quests where people buy the drinks, make content, and if they're great, they pay them in fiat, right? So we see this opportunity to do the same thing at the beginning using Twitter with the whole crypto infrastructure, because we onboard them into our system, right? And then you guys or anyone, any community can make content, and if the content gets some form of virality, we will reward it. And that is a very powerful way to reverse engineer what content means and who makes content for it, right? And that is this is the content flywheel piece, and gives everyone a chance to have a voice. And next we have got, so the last pillar, we do not, so unlike Pudgy and Rag, obviously, an NFT collection, it's something we kind of have roadmap sometime down the line. And at the moment, what we have roadmap is a soulbound NFT, which we intend to airdrop to everyone who joins the presale. And the roadmap is that we will eventually burn that NFT, mint a actual collection when we actually drop it. So as you can see, our ethos is really making a really good product, working together with community to get the word out, and hopefully everyone enjoys our drinks, and let that flywheel go from there. So you can see here there's some great brands. Jarritos have Bones NFT. Raposa is another one I'm sure you guys are very familiar with. So we want to redefine what being part of a brand means, right? Like, you now have a stake besides just being a consumer. Yeah, can we move on to the next slide? Yeah, so obviously monkeys close to our hearts. Monkeys drink first, the rest will follow. We truly, enjoy the company of monkeys, and think the ethos is really aligned with good vibes and this Web3 community club. And we think what the vision of NFT with on-chain country clubs has really been brought to life. And I haven't been following Bored Ape much, but I don't doing anything. So really kudos to the team to really bring about this vision and to continue building and hacking away at creating value for community, for culture. So that's why we really wanted to align with monkeys, and hence being part of this Foundry has been really exciting. I think we have just a couple more slides. So some of you may be aware we have a essentially a simple quest a campaign going on. right? So if you go to early.drinkflojo.com, you can. So we've designed the flow in a way that you can connect your wallet, but I know some of you guys may wallet. You can simply mint the new wallet with your email. That becomes kind of a burner wallet, and then verify your NFT holdings with Metrica. And there's like 2-3 steps to click through in terms of like following our X, joining a Discord, and we'll earmark points for you, which will eventually become the token. So this is the screenshot of some of the flows. The section on the left is where you can punch in your email, and through a 2FA, we mint at the moment a Phantom wallet. So just kind of give you guys color. We actually have quite a lot of like non-Web3 clients, and a lot of them don't even know that this feature exists. They see these points, but they don't know what it represents. So we find it quite exciting because we have real customers that have been purchasing these products because they genuinely love it. And just today, Google APAC made another order, which we're unable to fulfill because we are in a transitionary period of making a new batch of drinks, which will land in about 2 weeks. So we made a lot of changes in the branding, in brand refresh, in formulation, thanks to Christine. We've also changed up the can size, and we've been able to control the cost significantly better. So all these stuff are fundamental things to a CPG brand that we've been working on that is coming to fruition in the next coming weeks. And just like 2-3 more slides to finish off. This is just an illustration of how the flow works for the airdrop. And then, you just got to click through it. It's pretty simple. As you can see on the top right, you can see that wallet created. And then on the next slide, a Metrica verification. You guys are definitely aware this is off-chain signature, so it doesn't connect your wallet. It just allows you to verify your NFT. And then, these are some of the quests. And then that's it. So after you complete the quest, we have some basic information about you guys. Eventually, in the coming 2-3 weeks' time, we intend to go to market with the token if all goes well. And all these spark points. And also, there's a little alpha to be shared here. We tend to content for Spark program, which is essentially a program where anybody can talk about us, and if the amount of likes and retweets clears certain criteria, we will airdrop you. That will be Friday these rewards. And then this is really fundamental to our whole thesis, which is empowering the community. Some of these students they've been asking, like, if I don't have the budget to buy the drinks or the pre-sale, can I farm by making content? So this is again like where inclusivity is really important to us. So I've been rattling on a lot. I think that's the last slide. So happy to pass it on to you guys. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic overview. If anyone in the audience has any questions, feel free to request to come up on stage, or you can just throw your question in the chat and we can ask up here. I do want to zoom out real quick just on the community aspect. From your guys' perspective, what does the perfect community look like, or how does the ideal community behave in this flywheel? What type of activities do you want to see? I know you touched on a few different points, user-generated content and whatnot. But I would love kind of a big picture overview of what the ideal community looks like in a flywheel.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. I think the essence to this question lies in we genuinely, hope that we've created a product that the community will enjoy and consume and have the token rewards as a byproduct, rather than having the token as the core product and the drink as the byproduct. Because in the traditional world, the community that traditional drink brands build is just customers, and customers just buy products, right? And then VCs are the one that fund this growth. When you take down the capital stack and you allow everyone to be involved in the capital stack, very often, kind of from a perspective, the incentive of like whether I'm here for the token of product becomes a bit murky. So I would say, I don't know. I think the community will decide if they really enjoy the product, but we hope that we've achieved creating a genuinely good product that communities enjoy, and that they just enjoy the flywheel because they've been part of it. Yeah, so like I think there's not sure how best to explain, like not just maybe, not just passive consumers, like consumers who are willing to create value, share, participate, evangelize, because you have skin in the game and you're not just a consumer. And eventually we can get community flavor to vote on merch, and yeah, so those are like more participative, more inclusive forum.
Yeah, I'm gonna add to Paul as well. A great community is one that genuinely loves the community, loves our product, loves what we're all about. So by doing so, we hope, and we put a lot of work into building our drink, so you like that, but it's not just about the product itself, right? This is why we're activating our communities, bringing in all our friends to really take part and enjoy not just the product, but as Paul said, as an early adopter, there's an opportunity to actually get a piece of Flojo as well, right? So we're not just building it for ourselves, we're building it for everyone. We want to empower everyone who comes and joins us. That's what we want to do, and it's a great product. It's one that's for your health. I also put a lot of work into formulating it with a team of neuroscientists, so it's great for your overall health, your brain health, your focus, all of that. And yeah, just getting involved, talking to people about it, sharing it. If you love the product, share it. I mean, that's the best that we can really hope for. Social, whether it's in real life or online, all of that. That'd be great.
Love that. Building it for everyone, empowering everyone, making sure everyone is healthy. Kay asks, what's the best part from your POV to be part of Monkey Foundry, and how can Monkey support you best? Bonus question, what's the best alcohol to mix for a flojito, tequila, or any other tips?
Christine, you want to take that one? I'll take it.
Okay. You want to? Okay, go ahead.
Well, the official answer, I'm going to answer the cocktail piece first. The official answer is that you are not advised to mix with alcohol, because these botanicals have certain effects, and it's just not really been tested. But anecdotally, I have a lot of friends who've done so, and they, from an effect perspective, they think it's a very spacey type of feeling you get versus just your traditional alcohol feeling. So in the US, there's this category called euphorics. I would say it's kind of like a mood uplifting feeling. So yeah, the official stance is like we don't encourage, but down the line, we do want to create a flavor that feels like alcohol, but is non-alcoholic and tastes like alcohol. Sorry, the first question was...
What's the best part from your POV to be part of Monkey Foundry, and how can Monkey support you best?
Yeah, thanks for that. Monkey Foundry, I think firstly, Monkey DAO is a great community, and a lot of great protocols, projects have come out of Monkey DAO. That, it tells you that a lot of strong thinkers have been in this community. So like, the ability to have different ideas, the ability to have a forum of thought, all of that is really valuable. and it's just a really strong crypto native community that is highly engaged. Is a strength to us. It's almost like adding, I don't know, 50 members, 25 members to our thinking. We think that like by what we're trying to achieve in the first few phases of in the next few weeks, like obviously we want to, so we're trying to build that attention flywheel. So definitely request, follow us on Twitter. I think that would really help. And if you want to take a bet on something, there's not just what you're so used to in crypto. I think you can take a bet, participate on pre-sale. At worst case scenario, you have some drinks. So I think that is the two biggest ways that we can kickstart the flywheel by creating the hype cycle. And if we can create a pre-sale that sells out pretty fast, that shows the world there's some demand, like we're able to hack for that in a similar way that Rack has done, but with a smoother transition to a real operational drinks brand.
Awesome. Bad Religion asked, the crypto community is so small and mainly broke. What is the advantage or trying to get community here instead of going to TikTok or Instagram or any other place with millions of people?
Yeah, great question. It feels easy to go on TikTok and Instagram, but it's actually pretty hard. There's a lot of money competing for attention. There's a lot of similar. In the beverage space, there's a lot of brands trying to build. So you end up with, if you go down the channel, you end up with similar type of content, unless you become super creative like Liquid Death, right? So we think that Red Bull in 1986 was very inspired when they extreme sports people, because nobody was looking at them. They were cheap to sponsor, and it was exciting, right? We think that like there's a lot of attention in the space. There's a lot of people clearly now aligned with crypto. It doesn't, like, we're not here to find whales to buy a million drinks, right? Like, we're genuine enjoyers of our product. So it could be anyone. It's not an expensive product per se, right? Like for most meme coins out there, spend, I don't know, $500, and if you get rugged, it's a zero, right? So at least for what we are trying to do, we have a genuine product, and if touch wood it doesn't work, you have $500 of drinks you could potentially sell. And the funny thing is, like, we actually have that model with some physical locations, like wellness spas, ice bath clubs, who love our product, and they're just like, you know what, I'll invest in you. I take the product and I'll sell it. So like in their case, they actually don't really have much downside. So I think maybe that's one way to think about, trying to, many little, pieces can come together to form a strong force.
Yeah, I can also add to that as well. I think especially the crypto community, it's a really unique community. And I'm speaking from someone who was a normie just last year. And coming into this community, it's very strong. People are open-minded, people are well connected, they believe in community and they back each other up. It's very different. And it's a very collaborative environment as well. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's a beautiful thing about building in crypto community. I will say, from a strategic point of view, for Flojo, we are also engaging in Web2. So we are also building on TikTok and Instagram. And I think Maurice also alluded to this last time I had asked him. But the strategy is quite very different across whether you're going to build on the crypto community, like building on X, for example, and whether you're building on TikTok or Instagram. So as you're building your community, you have to be very you have to cater towards the different communities you're building for. But I think for us, we really want to activate within our crypto community as our evangelists, I guess, our core community, because of how it aligns so much with the product itself and our personal ethos of, health is important, wealth is important. Those two things are so important. And we think that really aligns with the crypto community.
And really just the ethos of being able to share the value, right? So like, just to give an example, just being in touch with like 60 universities through the blockchain club is a very unique cultural bond, if you will, for people who are crypto curious, right? And if they buy into this social economic model, we have, I mean, Facebook started from Harvard's dorm, right? If we could create that hype flywheel, getting students posting about it, like writing about it, talking about it, we could very well create that hype flywheel. And eventually, you know, the initial vision and roadmap was not just X. We could extend this to TikTok with a similar create content to earn pillar, right? We can just use an API. But to answer your question, those places are really crowded. We've done it before. We ran in the it's still operational, but our experience tells us that is extremely difficult. Is you are competing against thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of all kinds of people trying to sell all kinds of things. And in a strange way, Twitter, you know, like remember when Mooding became in 3 days, like everyone knew Mooding. So it's a place where virality can become very big, very fast. So that's kind of like why we're trying to activate.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely want to double click on the community aspect, but before I do, it's quick questions before I forget. Potato and Toji asked very similar ones. When can I buy Flojo? I'm going to keep asking until I get an answer, LOL. And then Toji asked, can I buy from Latin America?
So the roadmap is once we're done with the social engagement campaign, we will be operational in US and Canada, Singapore and Hong Kong. So through our website or through certain other channels, which will be a hybrid model. Latin America is a great obviously huge opportunity. We have to figure out the kind of the entrance due to like regulations and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely work in progress. But yeah, at the very beginning, it would be these four geos. If the challenge that we have is shipping costs for beverages are quite high. So we technically can ship everywhere, but the shipping cost could become so prohibitive that you might not want to buy them. So it will take a little bit of time, but we believe that, you know, if you are able to create the attention flywheel, it will be easy to find distribution. So
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, we'll try and get them to you at some events. I think if you're not in any four of those geos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, come to our events. Come to Token. Come to Apex. Come to Breakpoint. We're gonna have drinks there. Come to Accelerate. Yeah, we'll have drinks there. But we're definitely working on it, and there are other ways to join in the community. As Paul had mentioned, you can get spark points by creating content, for example, and there's going to be other different types of quests that will enable you to gain spark points. Eventually, you can also, as this with spark points or as a future token holder, there's going to be polls. You can take part in what the next flavor might be, or what merch we're going to be creating, or you know, what we want to do at events. And in the future, the idea is that we're all growing together, and even your spark points, potentially you can exchange it for a ticket to one of these events to meet us and hang out with us. So still a lot of opportunities, even if you're in Latin America and other areas that we're not directly shipping to, you can still be part of our community.
Yeah, or if you really want to join our pre-sale and you don't necessarily want to pay expensive shipping for delivery, you can always reach something bespoke if you're not based in North America or Asia. So we're always around, so let us know.
If you do want to take part in the pre-sale, you just have to find a friend that you want to ship some drinks to. That could also work too.
I'll definitely keep an eye out for those team meet and greets. For the on the community aspect of it, and you kind of touched on this as well earlier, which was onboarding non-crypto natives, and a lot of them oftentimes don't know what sparks, what points, what even a lot of these incentive reward programs look like that we are very used to in Web3. What is your guys' approach when it comes to not only curating a community flywheel, but also communicating it to Web2 non-crypto natives compared to Web3 crypto natives?
Yeah, I think the number one thing we've tried to do at least is to abstract the wallet experience. So that takes away the complexity that a lot of people have onboarding into Web3. I think points generally people understand. Stores also have points. From our current experience, it seems like they just think of it as potential future rewards. They're unsure what it becomes. Our job here is to ease that process that when eventually it becomes claimable to the token or become fungible to the token, we want to make the process for them to claim it or spend it or send it out easy. So that is the kind of the next piece we want to try and build out. So interestingly, Olipop was using Kale. There was a lot of content creators on Kale that they weren't receiving their payouts on time. So that's another thing that we can solve using crypto's rails because it's a lot faster. But yeah, like our whole thing is just like we want to make this thing almost feel like fiat, as fuss free as possible, and you don't really need to know MEV or all this complicated stuff. So that's our vision.
Awesome. Makes sense. And then on the user-generated content side, you mentioned empowering the community. So you've had some partners, some friends, family interested in participating and joining the community. Especially you mentioned the university students where maybe they don't necessarily have the funds for the drinks or to participate in the pre-sale, but they are interested in creating content. What is your guys' overall approach when it comes to user-generated content? Do you feel like you need to give them kind of inspiration or direction, or do you think of it more as just kind of setting up a reward incentive infrastructure and then kind of letting them take the reins?
Yeah, so we definitely will have a incentive structure in place in terms of like what gets rewarded. Broadly speaking, 4 or 5 tiers. We is not every single one has the capacity or has the passion to become an ambassador, or they have varying amounts of interest. So what we're trying to do is to appoint a couple of key contributors who are genuinely engaged and value adding, and like genuinely give them some allocation just to be an allocate. And that allows them to have the ability to use sweat equity, to earn sweat equity. When we go live with the content creation, actually quests where you can make content about unboxing, or you can make a thread about the ingredients or how you feel, or you can make a video. We'll give some guidelines, and we'll try to reward people who basically create value. So like we do have a reward structure, but we also want to have kind of like an OTC thing where if you really want to be more involved, we can eventually even have internships or for some of these guys who really want to come on board in a bigger way.
Awesome. And earlier you also kind of touched on the token being the byproduct while drink is the core product. With the kind of overall community flywheel concept, do you feel that there's any specific products, projects, kind of directions that this concept works better in? Do you think kind of consumable products like your own is the most efficient for community flywheel, or do you think other user-facing products can utilize it in the same way just as effectively?
I generally think there's no one size fit all. I do think that if you look at Pudgy Penguin, if you don't know anything about crypto and you see it in a gas station, you just think of it as a cute toy, right? And then if your son or daughter is like, "Hey, I really like," it, you just buy it. So I think mass market products, because of the way it's generally distributed, has the most chance for this community flywheel to work because the the way distribution also, so we intend to strive for a DTC as a distribution model. We just aim to have a higher percentage of DTC as opposed to most other brands. If that makes sense. Because ultimately beverages need to be physical. But the physical distribution piece is always based on velocity, and if you sell fast, we'll put you in more stores. So that in itself it is a very easy is a thing that can catch fire very fast if the demand does reach a certain critical mass once it achieves an escape velocity. So I think PUBG has probably achieved enough of that. Like I don't think the community is buying the toys now. I think that they've actually achieved escape velocity where like random buy it. And if they make a game, like non-crypto native people are like, oh, I want to play this game because it looks fun. So like we intend to like try and cross that chasm where you become not a crypto product, and the token incentive, it will still feature, but it will definitely eventually, it has a decay profile as a company becomes big. So like that is generally the thesis, and obviously, but I think consumer product, mass market products actually have a very interesting a way to gain attention because of how many places they can get into, and very defined distribution channels. And something like water, drinks, you almost need to have it every day. So yeah.
Awesome. We are coming close to the end of the hour here. If anyone that is listening has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat or request to come up. One of the last questions I have is something that Bad Religion kind of touched on earlier as well, and that's managing community. So managing community as well as their expectations. With the Flywheel, I think you have a lot of stakeholders. As you mentioned earlier, you want users to feel like they have skin in the game, but what comes with that is oftentimes a lot of unrealistic expectations, or just kind of a lot of noise from the community. Do you have any kind of perspective or opinions on managing not only the Web 2 and Web 3 community, the diversity there, but also kind of managing expectations across the board?
I think in terms of product, obviously, we'll listen to, like, just like traditional brands will listen back and adapt as if the complaints are about maybe they don't think airdrop stuff. It's honestly pretty fluid and something that I think we can evolve with time, and also assess where the company stands versus in terms of like actual earnings versus where we think the hype side. So I mean, at the end of the day, we will getting the company more revenue, right? And then once we are able to get more revenue, be able to share a lot of that back to the token that people are holding. So I think we will be most focused on that, and like there will be a lot of noise, and we won't be able to answer everybody's feedback over time, but we'll try our best. I think that's one of the downsides of having so many stakeholders as well, but I guess it cuts both ways.
Yeah, it's double edged. There's benefits and cons to everything. Chrissy, I saw that you unmuted. Don't want to interrupt. Any kind of final thoughts on that?
Oh, thoughts. I was just saying we have a Discord channel that's open as well. So if you follow the points flow, monkey points flow, you'll join that. We have a Telegram group. So as you become, depending on your involvement with Flojo in the community, we have different groups as well. We'll share and manage the community there as well. So we'll have different opportunities and announcements there. So check us out there as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and hanging out, and thank you to the incredible Flojo team, the first Monkey Foundry participant, I guess is probably the right word there. It's super exciting. It's Overall, very, very grateful to have you guys join us on this Foundry sessions. I'm going to pass off to both of you one last time. Any kind of closing out thoughts, any shout outs, any alpha you want to drop before we close up the sessions here?
I think we've generally, covered most things, and very grateful to the opportunity to be part of the Foundry and to spend 1 full hour here to vision. We genuinely hope you guys will try our product and then genuinely enjoy it, and hopefully we build out the wealth effect together. We can show the world how in building brands and generating value for the, and our vision is a healthier world where everybody feels better without feeling worse. So really grateful for you guys to be on the journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Gonna pass it off to Jemmy. I believe he may have some final thoughts or at least some closing out music. Just straight to the music. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.